Hello. I don't know if this is working. Trying to make sure it is.
Reactionary shit.
Whoa. I think, oh, snap. Okay, hold on. Just a moment. So I accidentally had to create a brand new live stream in order to do this. I don't know why they did that to me. Let's see. Yep, I think that's the case here. Just a moment. We're about to start right now. Yeah, okay. Yep. Here we go. That's the case. All right, there's some people in here too, so I'm going to go comment on the other one. Just a moment. We're about to start right now. It booted me to another stream. We're over there. Yo. Okay. Yeah. Booted. Now for here. Here we go. What you're multitasking, that's cool. Yeah, so for some reason, the stream I had scheduled, I just couldn't connect to Streamlabs at all. So I had to like make a new one for some reason. Cool. Yeah, so we're in the real one now. We out here. The stream I had scheduled, so good. I just couldn't now. Sorry, now I'm all like all over the place because of all this. Yeah, so but thank you everybody. We made it. So good. 1,000. I'm all like all over the place. Everything should be working too, right? The sound and everything. Thank you everybody. Hopefully. Wait, let me double check over here. 1,000. Yeah. Okay, cool. Should be working too, right? You're hearing double sound and everything. Thank you everybody. Oh. I think it stopped, right? Did that stop it? Let's see now. Just a moment. Okay. Oh my god. This is all over the place. Okay. It's all good. We made it. We made it. That should have fixed everything. Actually, let me do one more thing. I'm gonna make a little beeping sound. Let me know if you hear it. I didn't hear that. Hold on, let me try it again. There we go. Did you hear it now? There we go. Having to make sure everything's working. For some reason, all the settings got all mixed up. Anyway, 1,000 subs. Thank you all. We are here. We all made it. All y'all are here. What is up, State Socialism 1921? What is up, Theory Plebe? What is up, Faith? What is up, Rev Ransom? What is up, just y'all right here, right now. Thank you. Now, we are going to look through some stuff. We're going to look. Let me pull this up. Okay. Now, my channel. Let's do this. Okay. And Faith is cooking spaghetti. It's all good. Everything. Hey, what's up, Oscar Ramirez? Yo, Oscar. We have to hang out, by the way. I told Devin showed up to my house yesterday and said, I don't know. He said a lot of stuff. We talked for like an hour and ended it with me saying, us three have to hang out. Have to. We have to. Like, you have no choice. Anyway, I'm going to do this. Woo. and we're going to go through something on my channel. What is up, Boris? What is up, Lone Wolf Slayer? So, this channel, by the way, so this is what I wanted to do, as well as celebrating with y'all, hear what y'all have to say, and talk with y'all a little bit. I wanted to go back into my channel to see what is this thing? How did we get here? How did we get here? We're at 1,000 subscribers. Now let me tell you what was going on when we started this whole thing. I thought that would be a cool idea. So, oh, Erica's in here too. Glad you're here. So, first of all, let's break this down. My channel. When you get to 100 subscribers, they allow you to change your URL, but you have to make it to 100 in order for them to enable you to do that. And I was just like waiting for my first 100 so I could finally change my URL to youtube.com/Damon Garcia. And I did it, but still, every time you go to my channel, it still says the old URL. And I'm going to explain what that even is. It's youtube.com/user/Damon can freestyle. What does that mean? Why is that there? Here's the thing. I started YouTube way back in high school. I'm 26 right now. I started making YouTube videos around 2008, maybe 2009. And all throughout high school, I was making music. That's all I cared about, was making rap. Sort of Christian rap, but I guess it started out very Christian rap, and then as I kept making music, it kind of evolved from there. And then also, I was doing a lot of spoken word poetry stuff. And then I started making videos and music videos with my friends, and that's what YouTube was all about for me. And then I had a main music channel, and then I decided I'm gonna make a separate channel where I just do freestyle rap stuff, rapping off the top of the head, because I did a lot of that back in the day. I used to do it just on Facebook, or I don't know. I did it a lot on YouTube and Facebook, I guess. But I would ask people for topics, and then they would comment, and then I would freestyle rap off of them. So the beginning of this channel, that's what this is. I actually deleted most of them. Some of them are still here. These are all unlisted. I need to just delete them. And then, so that was 8 years ago. And then I just left I just stopped making music. I got really into, let me come back here. I got really into, how do we say, at 19 years old, I felt like I got called by God to be a pastor. And so I went into that world, and I just became so passionate about ministry and writing sermons instead of writing songs that the passion for writing songs just fell away, because I was so passionate about writing sermons. It wasn't a sad thing at all. I just had something else that made me way more excited, and I just kept going with it. And then eventually I found myself as a youth and young adults minister in an evangelical church. And when I was there, I felt like I want to come back. What's up, Diego? I felt like I want to do something on YouTube again. Now that I'm kind of on this new place in life, I want to come back to making some sort of online content. My only experience was making music. And so I decided I want to make like some videos where I talk about stuff, and I want to make vlogs, because vlogs were like a big thing at the time. So I felt like it would be cool to do some vlogs about life. And my life at the time, what's up, Snapples and Cats? Good to see you. My life at the time, people who watch my Twitch stream, by the way, know probably most of what I'm saying. But because when you're on Twitch, you talk a lot. And when you talk a lot, you end up saying some of the stuff I'm saying. And so, let's see here. So the first video I did when I came back, and I decided, well, I have a YouTube channel already, and I don't want to remove the videos on my old music YouTube channel, so I'll just remove the freestyle rap videos and then just do it on here. I should have made a whole new account with a whole new URL. I didn't realize that was going to be an issue. So this was the first video I posted.
No matter what, there's always a dog story in the newspaper. Always. Hey, I'm Damon Garcia. Welcome to the first episode ever of Newspaper Liturgy. And today we're talking about all the crazy violence that has been going on and the absurdity of forgiveness.
And Newspaper Liturgy was the first thing I ever did. I also was uploading these to Facebook. And they actually got more traction on my Facebook page than on here. But my idea was... Oh, it's not on screen. Whoopsie daisy. It was supposed to be.
Always a dog story in the
This guy.
newspaper. Always. Hey, Newspaper Liturgy, and today we're talking about all the crazy violence that has been going on and the absurdity of forgiveness.
Yeah, so Newspaper Liturgy. There we go. Okay. So the idea was I want to talk about like stuff going on in the news and do it from a different perspective that like is kind of like, I guess, positive spirituality, I guess, was the aim. And it was kind of cool. So I did a lot of those videos. And then, sorry, I'm late. It's all good. Anarchist Tech Support. Good to see you here. And then did another Newspaper Liturgy. And then let's watch. So I want to watch my first weekly vlog I ever did. Not just because I want to watch my own video, but because it's important to talk about where we've been. Young Damon, not even that young. It was like 2 years ago. Or I guess 3 years ago. I don't even, 2.5 years ago. But, so, my first weekly vlog was January 21st, 2017. I left the evangelical church and my job as a youth and young adults minister in August 2017. So this was 6 months before I left. So, in case y'all don't realize, I documented my last 6 months as a youth and young adults minister in the evangelical church, and it ends right here where I said I quit my job. And so I want to show you just like what my life was like before I left, because my life ended up radically changing. And so let's watch a bit of this vlog. We might skim through some parts, but this was my life. I was a youth and young adults minister, and I liked making videos, so I started a vlog, and I had a bunch of creative artist friends, and so I had an open mic night I just started at my house, and I had a bunch of ministry friends, and I had all my friends were somehow linked to this like ministry I was doing. Anyway, let's just watch this.
I'm filming? There's too much pressure, I can't film.
I used all vaporwave music for my vlog.
Hey, what's up everyone? It's Damon Garcia. It's Monday. I'm going to try to film this week and let's see where this goes. I just got to the library. The three places you'll always find me is my house, the library, and my church, which I also happen to work at.
And also, by the way, also like, I'm so glad I did these videos because this is totally different than what I'm doing now, which is just talking videos. But it's like, I learned how to make videos by just making whatever I thought maybe might be interesting, maybe. And by doing a bunch of them, I found what I think would be some good videos. So there's some advice for everybody. just make stuff, and then that's how you'll figure out how to make stuff. Okay.
It's Tuesday. Some days are just a bunch of reading and writing.
This is like down the block from my house. Trivia night. This coffee shop closed down.
Hey, are you ready for trivia, dude?
Dude, I'm ready, man. I've been here.
So have you been watching a series of unfortunate events?
I haven't started.
It is honestly terrible.
Dude, am I really about to pay $21 for chicken marsala?
You actually don't need to catch up on my old stuff. Part of why I'm going through this right now is so that you don't have to.
We're gonna win trivia night tonight. We got this. 6 degrees.
What's our team name?
We're at a huge disadvantage.
We're at a huge disadvantage.
Oh, you think we're gonna win?
We're at a huge disadvantage.
Also, I don't talk to any of these people anymore. This is how my life has changed. Someday I'll find my voice. I'll just skip through this. We ended up getting second to last place in trivia night.
That's definitely not right.
Yeah, same Pepsi. I told you, it was just a bunch of vapor. Because I was like, I know that copyright is like an issue on YouTube, and so what do? So my first option, now I just use music from my friends. That's totally, I'm so lucky to have that. But my first option was, let me just use like underground vaporwave music. And they can't copyright their stuff because they're sampling other people, so they don't copyright it.
It's Wednesday. Today's youth group day. Live up. But first.
Oh yeah, Live Up is the name of the youth group that I started, or that I took over, but then I like totally revamped and changed everything, and it was called U-Turn before, and I changed the name to Live Up and like changed like the whole vision and the whole look of the room, everything.
First, we're going to PV High School.
And I was at several different Christian clubs during lunchtime. So it doesn't really break it down in this video. There's another vlog where I like break down my weekly schedule, where it was like Monday I had off. Tuesday I would go in and to a high school Christian club and that I led and would teach at. And then Wednesday, another Christian club at a different high school that I would teach at, and then Wednesday night would be a youth group, and then Thursday would be another Christian club at another high school that I would teach at, and then Friday night was the young adults group that I also taught and led. So I was, at this point in my life, I was doing like 4 to 5 sermons every single week.
So let's do that.
Is that one of them?
What's up, dude? This is Joey. He's the president of Fellowship of Christian Athletes at Pioneer Valley High School. Hi. Tell us your reason for your haircut.
Look how memed up I am.
Really?
He just tells a story about why he got a haircut. That's not important for the purpose of this video. Also, oh wait.
It's raining. About to pick up some pizzas for youth group tonight. Just napkins.
There you go.
So many pizzas. Anyone who's ever been in youth ministry, or perhaps just ministry in general, knows. So many pizzas. By the way, the whole schedule I just dropped for y'all, each and every one of those events also involved buying pizza with at a budget that, or I guess, I don't know the exact words, money. I would get money from the church that I only had a certain amount every month, and a lot of it would go to pizza.
Thank you. So I've been the director of student ministry.
Wait, what? I would love you right now if you can that from the past into my... What are you saying? I need to learn how to do my own vapor and synthwave tracks or soundtracks, and I could use anything I want. Exactly. And, okay.
Here at Santa. Thank you. So I've been the director of student ministries here at Santa Maria Foursquare Church for a year now, and it's pretty awesome. And I want you to turn
So,
chapter 2.
did you hear what I just said? I just said, turn to Ecclesiastes chapter 2. I told y'all that I'm all about Ecclesiastes. I developed a curriculum or a teaching series to teach kids Ecclesiastes and youth Ecclesiastes and adult Ecclesiastes. So this was the youth room we're in, by the way. So I would teach. There's a screen up there. I would show stuff. Everyone. Oh, by the way, everything is meaningless. Exactly. Let me tell y'all. I was innovative. I was the most innovative youth pastor in the whole city. Maybe the whole world, my friends. Because look at this in the center of the room. Does anyone know what this is? This is a 360 camera that I bought. I was constantly trying to think of how can we make this different? How can we innovate? What is something we could do to make this new and different? And we by the way, our youth group was on like every social media platform you can imagine, and I was constantly putting out content on all of them. And I thought we should like maybe film some of the sermons, but let's do it. It's like, let's see where technology is going. And at the time, everyone was like, everything's going to VR. No, not people don't really talk like that anymore. But at the time they were, so I was like, yo, what if we do VR recorded sermons? And so I did this like a couple of times, but each time it failed. I didn't like how it looked at all. So that's why that's there. It's Thursday. Just got to the church. It's Kaylin. This is my no, you can't, because I didn't like how those look. Office. I'll explain that stuff on my walls on my desk another time, but I gotta go right now. Back at it again, getting more pizza for more youth. It's time for Santa Maria High. Thank you. So basically, this awesome woman named Veronica, along with some interns at a local church, were running these high school clubs at Rigetti and Santa Maria High. But their church was going through a huge transition, so where they weren't able to keep leading these clubs. So they asked me if I could take the lead, and I said yes. And I just started this week leading a high school club during lunch at Santa Maria High on Thursdays, and one at Rigetti, my old high school, on Tuesdays. The one at Rigetti didn't happen this week, so just the Santa Maria High one was this week. But next week will be both. I love it. Let's go. Today I'm going to talk to these students about wisdom. Gustavo! What's up, dude? Good to see you. Here we are, about to get started. Yeah. It went really good today. But now I need gas. But there's a... By the way, we keep bringing up Ecclesiastes. I need to do something Ecclesiastes-ish. What is this? Oh. Came in 6 degrees for open mic, which they have every Thursday at 6:30, except for today, apparently. It's alright, keep moving. Oh yeah, me and 6 degrees had a falling out because of their open mic situation. So during this point, I wasn't making music, but I would go to open mic stuff to do poetry, and I would go to poetry slams at times too to do spoken word stuff. And so, but this open mic at this little coffee shop they just wanted to like let's just get some people just kind of quietly playing guitar on the side in the corner where everyone can ignore. And I didn't like that. And I did a poem one time, and I was kind of loud, and the owner scolded me, and I was like, what's the point of having an open mic? I figure we're not supposed to hear anybody. And she got really mad at me, and that resulted in me deciding to just start my own open mic in my house. So you'll see that actually at the end of this was the first open mic we did. It is the Santa Maria Mall. Very small, but it has a movie theater. Bruh, can I do it? What's up, Daniel? We're watching my first weekly vlog when I was an evangelical youth pastor in the beginning of 2017.
Brother, are you recording?
Yeah.
What's up?
What's up, dude? You vlogger now or what?
Dude.
Alright, I gotta buy my ticket. Is your ticket bought?
Also, don't talk to these two either anymore.
That's Nick.
My life has changed. We watched the movie Split and talked about it.
Before you watch Split. Yeah. Anyone who didn't watch Unbreakable. It's Friday. Tonight I'm gonna host an open
I don't know
mic
what I'm
night
wearing,
at my house.
but I did
a
it
couple months ago with my awesome local poet friend Kayla. And we're just trying to start a community of local artists in Santa Maria because there is so much talent in Santa Maria. So we're providing this space for all the local poets, musicians, and communicators. And we're encouraging all original work. And for tonight, to write around the theme of changing the future on Inauguration Day. But first...
Oh, this must have been the second one, actually. I think the first one was just a test, and then we're like, okay, the next one, I want you to... All you artists come back and bring something written about the future. Yeah.
We're hanging out with Joey.
Oh, look at that. Also, a lot of my life as a youth and young adults minister involved taking people out to eat. Okay, so my budget from the church at that time would go to pizzas, taking people out to eat, and like random stuff we needed for the youth group, like maintenance stuff, I guess. And yeah, so this was a lot of my... I explained a lot of like the teaching parts of my week-to-week life, but it also involved a lot of just hanging out with people. How do you feel about not talking to those? We'll talk about that. Not talking to those people. Chipotle is great. This isn't Chipotle. Chipotle don't have burritos that big. This is Vaqueras, local place.
Gosh. That's only half.
And that's half of it. I had one half, he had the other half. This is Inauguration Day. And I had a bunch of Love Trump's Hate stuff. Inauguration Day, Santa Maria, California. Alright, it's happening. Open mic. This is my house. Yeah, these guys. So, I'm Damon. I do youth ministry and adults ministry, and I do poems and art and videos and all that cool stuff. And I just love communicating and being with people.
Tie me up and let me down good. Yeah. I like to set myself free, but it was painful today. She walked out of me. It's true. I'm in love with a girl. She don't wanna talk to me.
I don't even know who that guy is. He just came to my house and decided to play. I know these people. Let me tell you a bit of who the type of people here. This is my friend Jason. At this point, he was a Calvinist, a creative Calvinist. And this is my friend Gabby, who at this point and still is very much like a new age spiritualist Reiki healer. We all come together, yo. We all come together. And everybody likes folk music, no matter who you are.
Hear me call from these pages of all the blessings you give. You gave me a heart to feel with others.
We know that getting everything we want would probably do us more harm than it would good. We know that the beauty of life is in the depth of existence, not the width of experience.
Passion, and putting that passion forward and giving it stage and spotlight. Thank you, Damon, for having us in your home and letting us all come and share our passion, because it's inspiration and it's happiness. It is the very definition of happiness and joy and love, and it is why we live. It's why we get out of bed in the morning. And I appreciate this, because we should all try to immortalize ourselves through passion. And if we all die tomorrow, let's be appreciative that we shared this bond.
Oh my goodness. It's hilarious. By the way, that website that popped up, that isn't even up anymore. I stopped paying for the hosting. But it's so funny for me to see Nick. This is my very good friend, Nick Winery. This is the first night we met, and now we're like super best friends. But it's funny, like, this is January 2017. He was just decided I want to make videos, and so he was there to just film and then try to like make something out of it. He was just experimenting and learning, and now he's like a professional videographer. He does videos for businesses and weddings, and he's phenomenal at it. He was there partly to learn from me and from other people, and he's like way better than me now. It's but we're hardcore homies. But eudaimonia, I don't even know what that is. What is that? I don't play guitar, by the way. Sorry. Forgive me. But okay, so the only reason I showed this, I just wanted to like get you all to see like this was my life. You know what's funny about watching this video too? You know those parts of movies where it's like it shows like really like people just super happy and carefree and peaceful, and you know that stuff is about to really go down and everything's about to get disrupted and things are about to get really terrifying and everything's about to go wrong. That's what it feels like watching this. So that's why I said earlier we'll talk in a bit about what it felt like to lose a bunch of friends. But so I did some weekly vlogs, just some random videos every now and then, just talking, but mostly vlogs and newspaper liturgy stuff. And I quit my job. By the way, this, you could see, like, this is my last week. This is kind of strange where it's like my last week there. So this is published August 5th, 2017. I went to, wait, let me see here. I went to, oh yeah, so this is like, we're not going to watch this, but it's like, this is all here. Human flourishing and prosperity is what Google says. Ooh, yeah. You can see I'm packing up all my books and stuff in my office and leaving. And while I'm talking about why I have to leave evangelicalism. And then talk a little bit more in the car. And then I went to LA to see Gary Vaynerchuk because at the time I was a big fan. And I was like, hey, I want to make stuff about progressive Christianity, because that was the plan as I left evangelicalism. I'm going to now jump into making content for progressive Christianity. Having, of course, I word it that way to be clear that it wasn't exactly anti-capitalist, but just general socially progressive Christianity. And then he told me to just make content. Oh yeah. Let's see here.
Damon, go ahead. So, why don't I start a personal brand? Yes, that's more about progressive Christianity. Yes. People who want to be part of church. For 10 years before anybody gave me shots.
It's like, just make a bunch of content. It took me 10 years before anyone gave a shit. Just keep going. And then I went to Jake Paul's house just as a anthropologist, straight up, to just see what was happening at Jake Paul's house. Okay, anyway.
Logan Paul.
And then, oh yeah, I saw Logan Paul too. But this is the going away party. Some kid gave like a heartfelt speech, and then I gave a speech. By the way, we watched this video on my Twitch stream recently, so that's why I'm like skipping through it because I already know what's in it. But I'll tell you this: the last thing I said was, basically, how do we say? What do you mean, kind of like liberation theology? What are you referring to? I just got back I went to Jake Paul's house. Didn't expect that. Yeah, it was kind of weird. But I basically told them I have to leave because I feel like I'm called to reach more of a post-Christian audience. A thing that I said a lot at the time was, because of the type of person I am and where I've been and what I've always been, I find myself, because of who I am, in a lot of conversations with people within church telling me things like, hey, so I usually believe, but sometimes I doubt, and I don't know what to do with that. And I would basically talk to them and be like, well, yeah, that's okay. No, I didn't live there. No, I lived in Santa Maria. I just visited. Oh yeah, I just visited to see what was happening, and I just saw his front yard and saw all the kids there acting obsessed. But anyway, so I was like, I'd have people say, usually I believe, but sometimes I doubt. I don't know what to do with that, and I would tell them that's okay, that's normal, that's part of it. But also because of the position I'm in and the way I am, I also was having conversations with people outside of church, non-religious people, saying, hey, sometimes usually I doubt, but sometimes I believe, and I don't know what to do with that. What do I do? And I would tell them that's normal, that's okay, that's part of it. And I said that I want to be more part of those conversations than the first one. So that's part of why I was leaving. And I also told them I'm not even sure exactly what God is, but I know that whenever we love one another, God is most manifest in that. So pretty interesting that I got to do that. Excuse me. Liberation theology is about escaping oppression and somehow finds itself more in line with what the Bible actually says, simply for focusing on the poor. Yeah, okay. yeah, when I use the word progressive Christianity as opposed to leftist Christianity, or actually I don't even use the word leftist Christianity that much, but when I say progressive, usually I'm referring to socially progressive, like basically, or I usually define progressive Christian actually as a Christian who integrates the insights of modern scholarship. And so as I was leaving, I'm like, that's the type of stuff I want to focus on. And so it's basic, like affirming of LGBTQ people, of course, obviously, and affirming of people of other faiths, reading the Bible responsibly, not literally, and not believing in a literal hell, realizing that's a big modern misinterpretation. And yeah, basically that's just general progressive Christianity. And anti-racist, anti-sexist, but not anti-classist in general. Maybe a general anti-classist, don't be mean to poor people, but never really touching on the subject of what do we do to change a system or to end a system that creates poor people. And so I felt at the time I liked Marx a lot. I just never went all the way. And I think it's because I think there was just so much going on in my life. I never felt like I had to. And then when I left, and I'm going to tell you how I went full-on Marxist, full-on leftist, and Latin American liberation theology even cross-pollinated culturally with Marxists, revolutionaries, blame a weird crop of Jesuits for following LT in the right place and time. Yeah, well that's the other thing. Liberation theology is also something I kind of just had in my back pocket. And I really liked the way they talked about it, but I wasn't that passionate about it. And then I started this, I left and then started a daily vlog. I was doing daily vlogs, sort of. I would miss days every now and then, just about, this is the life of a progressive Christian, and it would just be my life, hanging out with people, and talking about stuff from a progressive Christian perspective. And I started a podcast with my friend Kayla, called Everyone is Talking About God. And the whole point of that really was to be about, like, culture is changing, the world is changing, religion is changing. We are all talking about God because we are all talking about value and meaning in an ultimate sense. And when we realize that that is what God talk is, that's what theology actually is, then we're all talking about God. And I wanted to have a bunch of progressive Christians on. I had different people on too. I had some atheists on too. That was cool. And I wanted to just dive into this world, because there's like this world of progressive Christian writers and content creators and podcasters, and I just wanted to be that in that world. I didn't realize I was making a mistake. I didn't realize by wanting to just hit the ground running and jump into this new thing, I was skipping the necessary grieving and mourning process of losing everything when I left. So I was on a path. It's like I was about to get my pastoral license and about to do a lot. I had a lot of connections with a lot of pastors in that world. I was most likely about to be like speaking at youth camps a lot too, and just continuing to get more traction in that world. And then and I just couldn't do it anymore. I couldn't it's not like I was lying, but it's like I couldn't fit things together anymore. It had to come apart, and it was too many contradictions. And I left, I guess it was an integrity thing. And so I left, and by leaving, all these people I was in touch with just were gone. I probably lost like 100 people that were consistently in my life throughout California. And I just wanted to hit the ground running and just jump into a new tribe. And what ended up happening was that grief that I tried to skip, that mourning process that I tried to skip, caught up with me. And I started to get, and it made me extra sensitive. And then I started to realize there's big chunks of the progressive Christian world that are also really, really toxic. And since I was already in a very sensitive place because I was repressing a lot, it put me into a state of depression. And so last year, I stopped making videos for a while. It's hard when you're in something that deep and you lose it, especially when it has to do with something as deep as spirituality. Yeah, I remember feeling like I had this whole I'm very futuristic thinking person, constantly thinking about the future. And it's like I had my whole future mapped out, and then it all just got wiped clean. And then when I realized, oh, this progressive Christian world isn't as great as I thought it was going to be, it felt like once again, the slate got just wiped clean again. And it felt like, well, if I don't belong in the evangelical world, and I don't belong in the progressive Christian world either, and this, I felt like, well, then I don't belong anywhere. And what I'm referring to with the progressive Christian world is I kept encountering a lot of toxic, like cancel culture stuff. Some of the worst cancel culture I've seen among progressive Christians. It's pretty bad. I think it's just because they still have that within them, that fundamentalism within them from evangelicalism, and they just kept it and are now just aiming at different people and thinking it's okay because now they're aiming at white men instead of gay people. And it's still just as toxic. It's still a vehicle of hate. And I was So I was like, well, now I have no one. Now I have nowhere to go. I even got into Jordan Peterson a little bit this time. Because he was like calling out these liberal SJWs, and it was like resonating with me with what I saw with progressive Christians. But I was really resonating with his psychology stuff. And then I was like, then I heard him start talking about postmodernism, and that's when I was like, oh, Jordan Peterson actually isn't as smart as I thought he was at one point. He doesn't know what postmodernism is. And then, and I think him just talking about Marx a lot got me to like be like, let's read more Marx. And then I realized, oh, he definitely has no idea what he talks about Marx either. And actually, I talked with this guy named Brian McLaren. He came to a city like an hour from here to speak, and I was talking to him and telling him like some of the stuff I'm doing, and I told him, hey, look, he's a white guy, and he's super awesome. I love him. Kind of very big in the progressive Christian world. If you've been in the progressive Christian world, you probably know who Brian McLaren is. And yeah, I got skeptical on the feminist stuff. Yeah. And I was talking to him about stuff I'm doing. He thought it was cool. And then I told him, so I feel like this world that you're in, I want to be in it. But a lot of it is a lot of white people. And when it's not white people, then it's just black people. But no one that looks like me. No Mexicans, no Latino people. And then he responded by pointing out some Latino people that he really liked, that he wanted me to check out. And then he started bringing up liberation theology, which I already knew about and I really liked. And then I decided, okay, let's dive into liberation theology then. Those are my people. Latin American liberation theology. That's me. And I feel so out of it. I felt like I had nowhere to belong. I felt like I was so alone. So let me dive deeper into my identity, dive deeper into my ancestry, and get into Latin American liberation theology. And I got really into it. And I realized the deep connections with Marxism. And then I got really into Marxism. And I became all about it. And I'm trying to think of the timeline here. I guess, by the way, it's probably a bad idea to get into Marx when you're depressed. Because I think maybe that prolonged the depression for a little bit, because I like really started to like see not only my own problems, but problems in the world, and it was like, oh my gosh, everything's terrible. It was harder to read it with a clear mind. And then, all right, let's go back over. Actually, let me read the comments real quick. Still down to start that community we talked about. Yeah, Daniel, I've talked. I was always also talking about starting a church back then, and that was the plan. That's one of the plans that kind of got wiped clean. Maybe I'll start a church one day. I don't know. We'll see. I still very much feel like I'm a pastor. I'm just in a different way. Or a minister, I guess that would be a more technical term. But so it's important to remember folks who just converted to some new ideas tend to get more mouth frothy than necessary, even worse on Twitter. And it takes a year at least for folks to calm down. Yeah, I get you. Totally get you. So what was it? Oh yeah, I was gonna explain. So I kept making these videos, and then I was super depressed, and then I decided I want to make some videos though. And as I started to like kind of get better, I got a little bit of motivation. I disappeared for a few months, and then for a few months I would like come back with a video. It would be one of those cases where it was like, all right, everybody, I'm back. Sorry I've been gone for a while. I'm back. And here's a video, and I'll see you tomorrow for the next video. Then disappear for another couple months. I was in that cycle for a while, and I decided to come back with a couple live streams about random stuff. And then I saw Ali Stuckey, who is a right-wing Christian girl, Blaze TV type girl, or is a part of Blaze TV, who has a podcast. And her whole shtick is I'm a millennial, but I keep it real. And I'm a millennial Christian, and I keep it really real. I'm not just gonna go along with the world. So of course I'm a conservative, and the left has gone super ridiculous. And then I saw a video where on Twitter, the account went a little bit viral, where she said it is impossible to be a far left progressive and a Christian. And I saw multiple Christian leftists that I was following say, you're looking at one. And I decided to make this video. This was my first video where I was like, let's make a video specifically about leftism and Christianity. And it was just me responding to Ali Stuckey. Sometimes I feel like I'm the anti-Ali Stuckey. Like her podcast is called Relatable. Every YouTuber does that. Yeah, so I don't really know. I mean, I was still just barely learning like the different types of leftist stuff. I knew I loved Marx, but I was still very much learning. I feel like this video would probably be pretty cringy if I went back and watched it. And I did that, and then I decided, hey, I liked that. So I made a video about the Yellow Vest protest that just happened, a Christian left perspective. And then I made a video called The Virgin Birth is Absurd, and I talked about the political context of Christmas. And then I talked about refugees and Christmas. And then I talked about Epiphany. I don't remember what that was about. And then I decided, hey, I just found this essay called Socialism in the Churches. And hold on, let me look at this. I'm going to go along with the world perpetuating the status quo that we've had for centuries. Yeah. What do you think of dialectical materialism? I like it. I don't know. Maybe this will tell you. The reason I hesitate on that, because I feel like dialectical materialism just is. Who's that? It reminds me of I think it was Fidel Castro said, don't blame me for being Marxist if reality is Marxist. I feel like that about dialectical materialism. It's like asking me about, hey, what do you think about physics? Okay, anyway. The positively against religion. Okay, we'll get into that. Hold on. So I did this 7-part series about this essay by Rosa Luxemburg called Socialism in the Churches. And what's funny, actually, I knew about BreadTube at this point in time. And so actually I started to get some traction from this because I was posting these videos in the Radical Christianity subreddit and the Open Christian subreddit. And that was cool. It was like, Premier Lyles, what's up? And I started to get more traction than I'd ever gotten. And then I was thinking, I was like, I like BreadTube. BreadTube is cool. I enjoy the subreddit. I enjoy the people in it. But I was scared to post anything because I'm a Christian and I didn't have a feel for the community at all. And I legit thought if I post one of my videos in there, if I post my video about Rosa Luxemburg, socialism in the churches, people are going to be like, get out of here, Christian. You have to be an atheist to be a leftist. Get out of here. That's what I thought. I was scared that might happen. I had no idea what would happen. So I didn't post in there. And then, like, toward the end of my series, or maybe a little bit after the series, someone posted it for me. I don't know who, someone random posted my video in BreadTube and said something like, we need more Luxembourg or something like that. And then I said, I think I commented and I was like, yeah, I was scared to post here because I don't know how y'all feel about Christians. And then a few people were like, we're cool with it. And one of them was like, some of the best history of praxis has come from Christians. And maybe that's my response to Mr. Bookchin's and Lenin described dialectical materialism as being positively against religion. Some of the best practices come from religious people. Also, some of the worst violent atrocities have also come from Christians, because people will co-opt anything. And I also felt like I was starting to see a bit of a kindred spirit with socialists, because they have a lot of people that tell them, you call yourself a socialist or you call yourself a communist? Well, what about all this violence that I'll point to? And it's like, yes, I do call myself that. And no, I'm not cool with that violence. I'm not cool with some of that tanky stuff. And I felt like that a lot as a Christian, where it was like, yeah, I'm a Christian. Of course, I don't support any of the violence done in the name of Christianity. I support the people who have done justice in the name of Christianity. Yeah, people like Dietrich Bonhoeffer, who stood up against the Nazis, started a church against the Nazis, and then was killed in a Nazi prison. I think of people like Dorothy Day, who was a Christian anarchist and started the Catholic worker movement. I think of people like Martin Luther King Jr., socialist Christian, who, of course, civil rights stuff. And I realized, like, as I kept getting deeper and deeper into liberation theology, socialist stuff, I was like, yes, I found my kind of a stream again. It's like I had these plans that just got destroyed, and I found kind of a, like, oh yeah, this is what I'm doing. Oh yeah, this is why I'm a Christian. Oh yeah, this is what I like to talk about, especially as I was coming out of depression. I was like, oh yeah, this is what makes me happy. And I just then let's see here. I did a random video on Lent, did a random video about Lil Nas X, and did a random video. Oh, and then 3 months ago, I guess, it was like, yo, I'ma really come back. I'ma really come back to YouTube. And I did a video response to the Vatican gender theory document, and just broke down like, yo, it's okay to be trans and Christian type stuff, and just like, yeah, just critiquing it. And I decided to put up this series I did on my podcast on God After Sovereignty that I really liked. Thanks for asking, not trolling. It's complicated like anything else. Thanks for answering. Yeah, it is complicated. Yeah, also, I'll say this too. The only reason I say most is because I haven't read every leftist thing ever. But I know all for what I have read. Or for whatever, I'll just say most. Most critiques of religion that I've read from leftists, including Marx and including Lenin, I fully agreed with, because they were usually critiquing the way that religion is used to oppress people. And I was like, oh yeah, I'm totally against that as well. I want to talk about something deeper. I feel like I very much relate with St. Francis of Assisi, who lived his entire life during the Crusades. And during his whole life, if you asked, what is Christianity? People would point to the Crusades and what the Pope is doing, not to what St. Francis was doing in his backyard, loving and serving people and starting an order called the Lesser Brothers. And it's like he was following a deeper stream in the midst of violent religion. And so it's all also about reclaiming this thing as well, of like reclaiming the radical core and not letting the right wing have religion. I think I've seen a lot of people who are completely non-religious like my stuff because they agree. Like, yeah, I'm not religious, but yes, let's not let the right wing have religion. Yeah, keep going, Damon. You take it on. And I was going to say so then I put these up. I also did a series on like camp, a theology of camp, and I wrote like a whole script. So this is what really got me out of depression. I started to feel better. I started seeing a therapist. I started taking some heavy medication, and I joined a community in Santa Barbara of progressive Christians and some leftist Christians, and they've like really helped heal me, and I love them so much. It's like I need them so bad for my like community care. And I came back by like writing a whole movie script just for fun, and then I did this whole podcast series on a theology of camp, just being generally creative. And then I was back. I'm like, I'm really back. And then I felt really good, and I stopped taking medication. And when I stopped taking medication, because I was feeling better, something unexpected happened. My brain started moving way faster than ever. It moves, and I kept getting idea after idea after idea, and I wrote them all down, and I decided to make videos of all of them, and I was really back because I couldn't stop coming up with ideas. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna make some videos for some ex-evangelicals, and I make some videos from a Christian left perspective, and I'm gonna post these videos now. Finally, I have enough confidence to post them in BreadTube, and people like them. And so this is the first video I think I posted myself in BreadTube. The reason no one talks about for people leaving church, global capitalism. And I just kept going. And then I started just commenting on a lot of other leftist YouTubers' videos and interacting with other leftist YouTubers and showing love there, but also like just getting a feel for the community. And then, so that was like just a couple months ago. What is camp and aesthetic? Yeah, basically. I definitely think we shouldn't let colonizers define Christianity. I've said it before, and I'll keep saying it because it's hella important. Yeah, and the colonizing Christianity does exist. I think that's more of what Lenin was talking about. And it's like, I could say, well, Lenin was just ignorant of like the real liberationist type of Christianity. But it's like, I'm always wary to say that because colonizing Christianity is so in people's faces that I don't blame people for not knowing about the other kinds of Christianity. So it's like, it's understandable when people don't know. Yeah, Cornel West speaks about it too. But and then let me think. I'm trying to think like who started giving me shout outs. Then Gushin. Maybe Gushin was the first one. Let me see here real quick. Gushin dropped a cool video about being apolitical, and then I decided to kind of respond to it and talk about how Christians are apolitical. And she liked that, and then did the Dear Big BreadTube video. And then the video right after that was, well, I'm going to follow my own advice and also shout out some smaller BreadTubers. And I was the first one she shouted out. And probably because I put her in this video. And that was like my first big subscriber boost. Kind of tailing on Gushin's subscriber boost from Peter Coffin a little bit. And then let me think. And then I did this video, more BreadTubers equals more flavors of bread. People like that. And then who else shouted me out? Jackie Fox shouted me out. Some guy from Vancouver shouted me out. Theory Plebe, of course. in multiple live streams, I would show up in the chat, and Theory Plebe would be like, hey, Damon's here. Everyone go subscribe to Damon. Jet Cloud is another one. Jet Cloud shouted me out, and I shouted all them out too, in case you're getting the wrong idea with the telling of this story. But and then I guess the most recent boost was from Non-Compete. Non-Compete was like, hey, everybody make some short spots and we'll put them at the end of our videos. And I was the first one to make a short spot. I like made it so quickly after he posted that and read it, and then immediately emailed it to him, and he put my spot at the end of his Dirtbag Left video. And lucky for me, the Dirtbag Left video was pretty controversial, so a lot of people watched it, and then I'm sure a lot of them saw me at the end and then clicked subscribe. And Theory Plebe gave me another boost this last weekend from putting me on their stream, and here we are. So 1,000. let me read this real quick. I think I heard about you from Theory. Awesome. I don't blame people for not knowing. It's just sad and something I think needs to be challenged. Yeah. Evangelical believism, where the sermons are artful begging. Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. Artful begging. Taking their audience hostage for the Republican Party. It's easy to see this as the whole of Christianity lately. They're the loudest. Snapples and Kaz. I'd love to see Non-Compete and you have a conversation. That would be cool. I would love for that too. Let me think here. No, it's funny. So there we go. There's the journey. Now we're in present time. So glad for that Non-Compete spot. Oh yeah, Faith came from that too. Oh wait, no, I have one more part of the story that we're gonna say. But first, let me say this. I've been thinking about this too, like why evangelicalism feels so loud. And funny enough, it's not only is it the strength of evangelicalism, but it's also the, how do we say it? The inability to be relevant, I guess, of a lot of progressive churches, which are the mainline Protestant churches, like Episcopalians, ELCA Lutherans, some types of Methodists, some types of Presbyterians, what else? Disciples of Christ, United Church of Christ, people like that, where they are hardcore Bible-believing, Spirit-filled Christian churches, but they are progressive. They are LGBTQ affirming, also have LGBTQ pastors and priests, and are affirming of other faiths, don't believe in a literal hell, read the Bible differently. But actually what sets apart progressive churches isn't necessarily their denomination requiring them to believe progressively, but more of accepting of diversity and allowing any one of their pastors to kind of believe whatever. And of course there's certain boundaries, but it's like there's just freedom there. And so not every one of those mainline churches are progressive. Sometimes it depends on your particular local one, but I think a lot of them are, or most of them are. But also, mainline Protestant churches never really try to go for this attractional model of church, which is what most evangelical churches are, which is everything we do is for the purpose of getting people inside this building. So it's all about promotion, events. How do we get people to get here? It's all about that. Or how do we frame the service so that if it's somebody's first time, they feel comfortable? That's how they frame everything. Mainline Protestant churches look a lot like Catholic Mass, and it's not very welcoming if you've never been there. Also, they usually don't have like greeters at the doors like at evangelical churches. And so to go to a mainline church, what that usually looks like is you walk in, everyone's already sitting down, and it's just like 10 old white people, and nobody greets you. They're all just sitting there, and then you just kind of awkwardly sit down, and then they go through this mass, and then everyone starts saying prayers and hymns that they all know, but you don't know, and then you have to figure out it's in the book in front of you, and then it kind of ends, and by the end, then they turn and they're like, oh, hey, who are you? What's your name? Usually, sometimes not so much. And because they're a bunch of old white people, they're terrible at using social media and at updating websites. So a lot of the people who have these progressive churches in the area also don't even know they're there to even show up in the first place. I say all that because that is why I think they're not that loud. And it's because they just went the opposite direction of attractional model, and we're fine just having little churches. But at the same time, they're really progressive. it's like then the sermons you'll hear are like pro-LGBT people, pro-immigrant, very some of them, not all of them, are anti-capitalist, and they just suck at getting themselves out there. Also, another thing that sucks is their ordination process is a lot more grueling, where, like, especially the Episcopal Church, it's the local Episcopalian pastor, I was talking with him, and he told me his journey, and it's like he just became the pastor there, and he decided he wants to start this journey of being a pastor in the Episcopal Church like 8 years ago. And then he had to go through this years and years of schooling and years of training and years of apprenticing, and then they let him. And part of that is good, because it's like we need to have pastors who actually know their stuff and who are actually responsible and mature before we let them lead churches. But some of it is like insulting and offensive for it's like how long they make you go through this long, grueling process. Meanwhile, the evangelical churches are like, as long as you have some good stuff to say and you got the Spirit of the Lord in you, we'll give you a pastor license. Of course, usually it's not that much. There are requirements, but I don't have any degree in anything for anything, and I was about to get my pastor license in the evangelical church because of the gifts I have. They didn't have certification requirements or anything like that, or schooling requirements or anything like that. And so I think that's also why the mainline church is struggling, because of how hard it is to even become a minister there. But hey, there's one near me with a rainbow comma sign stuck into the ground beside their big church sign. It's been vandalized repeatedly, but keeps coming back. Yeah, they're there. That's my point. They are there. They're just not as into marketing as the evangelicals are. Kind of fine doing their own thing. Also, because it's a lot of old white people, I know there's also a lot of money in it, and therefore they don't. I know a lot of churches don't feel like they need to get a bunch of butts and seats so that they could get offerings so we could keep going, because there's a lot of old white people that just give their money to their local mainline church, and so I know a lot of it is surviving from old white people. They need a revolution, definitely. I'm homies. No, I'm not bagging on them. I'm homies with a lot of mainline pastors, and most of them, actually, all of them that I know, agree with everything I'm saying. They want to see it change. To be honest, evangelical churches are losing a bit of relevancy among young people too, but it does sound worse for the progressive churches you're describing. Yeah, it's like their message, the mainline message, is very relevant to young people, but their methods, I guess, is very irrelevant. And I guess it's the other way around with evangelical churches. The message is very irrelevant, old school, but the methods is like super hip and cool and like very attractive to young people. So here's the last part of the story I'll tell of my journey. I started streaming on Twitch, partly because of JetCloud. JetCloud started streaming on Twitch. And it was like, I remember talking to him, and I was like, I've always like been interested in streaming on Twitch, but the discoverability factor is so low that I feel like maybe it wouldn't be that good of an idea. But he was like the mainline churches are crucial venues for left-wing organizing. Yeah, that's actually probably a really good point to bring up too. It's like a lot of people who start organizing feel like, well, there's nowhere to go, we can't meet in my house. Usually a mainline church would open their doors, or a UU church, Unitarian Universalist church, or a Quaker church. I know the DSA closest to here meets at a Quaker house, but yeah, was this Liberty University has a TV station, radio station, university, retirement home where the construction workers who built it didn't get paid, and of course St. Thomas Road Baptist Church, 12-step groups. Yeah. People complain a lot about how evangelical churches think their problem is not having enough lights during worship instead of their hatred of gay people. Exactly. Yes. I downloaded Twitch to hang out on your streams. Yeah, so Jack Cloud was like, yo, I think the leftist Twitch space is like, it's like, it's really small right now, but it's going to grow. So maybe it's really good that you get in now. So I was like, all right, we'll try it out. So I made kind of a big deal about it on my YouTube. We're going to try this out. We're going to stream. And so I'd already had a bit of an audience on YouTube, and then they all came to Twitch. And some people even downloaded Twitch. Also, the fact that I saw multiple people come on to Twitch for the first time to watch me made me realize, oh yeah, what Jet Cloud said is very true. It's because I remember thinking too, like, it's even harder to compete on Twitch, because on YouTube, competing with other people, it's a little more easy because people could watch your video and then watch the other person's video and then watch the other person's video. But with streaming, if you and this other streamer that is kind of similar to you are streaming at the same time, they can't just watch yours and then watch theirs. They have to pick. And so I remember that feeling scary. And then when I saw people being like, oh yeah, I downloaded Twitch to come on to your stream, I was like, oh, this is how you do it. Reminded me like the whole AOC thing where her goal was like, we're not going to convince voters to vote for me. We're going to find people who've never voted before to vote for me. That's what it felt like. But so it's been really cool. And hold on. I'm really salty I wasn't first, I was second. Oh yeah, I think the support might be better on Twitch, especially with Jet Cloud really boosting and supporting other people recently. Yeah. I hate choosing between streamers. I always feel like, yeah, me too. But it's all. By the way, anyone in here who does go on my Twitch, don't feel bad if you pick somebody else. I understand. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, and then Lone Wolf Slayer was my second Twitch follower. My first was like just a random kid I grew up with back in the day that saw me posted on Twitter and just followed me, but he never shows up on the streams. He just wanted to show his support, I guess. But I was going to say, I feel like this is important to mention in my whole journey, because what I ended up encountering on Twitch was like a whole other platform and way of creating content, because that is really about just talk, just go and go. Way more free form, relaxed. People come in, people come out. And what ended up happening is I saw what developed in the Twitch chat was this small community of people. Most of them used to be evangelical and then left church at some point and now just happen to identify with socialist leftist politics. And some of them are hearing Christianity be talked about in a healthy way from me for the first time. Others like have heard other people talk about it this way too, but it's there's one stream where it felt like there was so much healing going on, because we started sharing like kind of evangelical horror stories and just stories that at one point were really heavy on us, and now we could just share and laugh about. And then we ended up watching this Jefferson Bethke video, that old viral Christian video of like, why I hate religion but love Jesus, spoken word poem. It's super cringy, but at the time we were all like, oh yeah, this is so cool. And then we decided to all watch it on stream together, live react to it like a decade later, and we were all cringing at it together. And what a sentiment I saw throughout the chat was, I'm so glad I've grown. I'm so glad I've changed. And that right there has been really inspiring to me. Some of the most inspiring comments even on YouTube that I get is along those lines of like, I grew up evangelical, had a really hard time, some traumatic experiences, then I left, and you, Damon, are making me want to look back into this Jesus stuff in a way more healthy way. And so many of your streams are healing, and probably for more people than you realize. Yeah, and that's really touching. First of all, in general, of course, that's really touching. That's really, really encouraging for me. But then there's this other level of touching, because when I left the evangelical church, it felt like I had all this going for me, and it all got taken away. And I lost so many connections, so many opportunities, so many friends. And I'm sure a lot of my peers from back then think Damon just backslidden. Damon just went off the deep end and is now just some non-Christian or some heretic leading people away, maybe confusing people. I'm sure there's people like that who think that. And yet, I feel like I'm reaching and helping more people than ever. And I'm very thankful for that. And it reminds me that, like, the passion I had at the very beginning of getting into ministry is still there, and I'm seeing things start to work out when there were times in my life where it all just felt like groping in the dark. So much groping in the dark, so much dark nights of the soul, so much uncertainty, and I feel like that judgment is following me too. I get this, yeah, and it's so cool. I think one of the most surreal moments was I think it was one of the first. I think it was the mindfulness for leftists video I posted about spiritual health, and Austrian Leninist 1, or he changed his name. Austrian Maoist 1 left a comment. Scroll down, see his comment, and he was like, "Hey, this was really helpful for me, and here's how it helped me out." And it blew my mind because it made me realize, oh my goodness, there are so many people out there who, because of their politics and beliefs and positions and stances, they are ostracized by the church. And I get to be in community with them or do something that touches them, that encourages them, that reaches them. And that's like so awesome that I get to experience that. And that is so beyond the scope of so many evangelicals' imaginations of somebody like me ministering to atheist Maoists. It's so good. It's so awesome. Man. The Bible says to judge things by their fruits. The fruit of your videos and streams seems to be overwhelmingly positive. Thank you. And yeah, it's all about the fruit. I know there's some old evangelical peers that see it that way too, that just kind of keep quiet about it. It's like they kind of secretly support me, or rather silently support me. They feel like I am doing good, even if they don't agree with me. But it's interesting. To be fair, I don't find that your videos are really for me, but I love your passion. Yeah, of course, there's other people too. It's like that get it, and that's been encouraging. Even you saying that, by the way, Premier Lyles, just reminds me of what I said earlier, that I was like super scared to post in BreadTube, the subreddit, because I felt like people were going to be like, get out of here, Christian. I've actually had some of that. Of course, I did have some of that when I first started posting in Actually, the first video that I did post in BreadTube, I posted in several different leftist subreddits, and I did get some people. It was like this. I remember this one guy was like, it was there's a subreddit called Left Without Edge, and I guess the whole shtick is like, we're gonna talk about leftist stuff, but without the edge, and like be kind to one another and be nice and open and listen to one another. And I posted my thing in there, and somebody was like, get this fairy tale bullshit out of here. And I was like, geez, what happened to Without Edge? And I just didn't respond. And then later I went back and I saw somebody respond, and it was like, hey, probably shouldn't be so. Something like, they kind of like said, you shouldn't do that. We should be more open. Something like that. To other comrades. Something like that. Maybe just funny. Jesus was always hanging out with those who were ostracized by the religious people of his day. Sounds like the right path. Of course. Of course. It was a good alternative to Chapo. I think actually, I remember seeing something. I think it was actually started in response to a leftist subreddit that was titled something like the opposite of it. Something like Left with Edge or something like that. That was just, we're going to talk about leftist stuff, but intentionally be edgy. And they ended up getting banned. I remember reading about that a long time ago. I never saw it, but I realized that that's what that subreddit was in response to. The opposite side of it. But I feel like that's it. That's all I really wanted to say. I wanted to talk a little bit about the origin story of this channel. A little bit of origin story of my own life. Thank you all so much for subscribing and for commenting, being a part of the live stream chats and the Twitch chats and YouTube chats, and for encouraging me as well. it really helped me a lot. And finding, like I said in the beginning of this, it's like you make stuff in order to figure out what kind of stuff you want to make. And I feel like I'm at that point right now where it's like I found a bit of a groove, and yeah, it's very encouraging to see all the stuff y'all say. So thank you for the content. Thank you for watching. Thank you. Love you, Damon. Love you, Faith. So tomorrow, oh yeah, by the way, subscribe to the Patreon or follow the Patreon, however it works. Donate to the Patreon, patreon.com/Damon Garcia. I just dropped a video on there, interview with Theory Plebe, an hour and a half. Excuse me. We sat down and I was like, all right, we're going to make like a short, succinct resource video, Theory. And they were like, all right. And it ended up being an hour and a half. And so I cut it up. But so I'm posting the full interview on my Patreon only. And then I'm going to post 2 or 3 clips throughout this week. So the first clip will be tomorrow. I'm posting tomorrow morning with me and Theory Plebe, talking about why read theory and how to read theory and stuff like that. Super awesome stuff. And then after that, I want to start making some videos about critiquing individualism, and I'm really excited for that. So I got a lot of plans to keep going for this channel, and I appreciate you all. Love you all. Patreon.com/Damon Garcia. Twitch.tv/WhoIsDamon. We're going to stream there tomorrow at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Follow me on there if you're not already there, and I'll see y'all over there. Thank you. Okay. Bye-bye.